I'm just going to start this one. We're not doing fan art because this one is horrible. And I do not want people's fan art associated with what we are going to have to go over here. So, a couple days ago, Israel decided that they were going to raid a town in the West Bank and start setting Palestinian homes on fire. I've given you the description of what we are talking about and going over, and I am hoping that is enough of a trigger warning for all of you. Okay? Okay. With that said, this is what we are looking at. So what the fuck is wrong with them? Holy shit.
كمل.
How long are you gonna be on? Because I might be going to sleep and I've been up for 24 hours. Blue Cat, I'm only here for another hour, maybe. Imagine living through this. Imagine having to live through this. Where the threat of this is just there. All of the fucking time. Hickory says, I was concerned, now the concern has escalated. Yeah? Sefi, I'm gonna ask you to do me a favor, and maybe it's a good idea to shut the fuck up. Maybe that's a good idea right about now. Because that's just a smidge insensitive for what we are covering. Sefi, so Palestinians who are largely religiously Muslim are the ones whose homes are getting attacked, and Allah Akbar is stereotypically associated with Muslims who are trying to commit suicide via bombing. Like, that's how Americans got mostly associated with that term. So, you put two and two together there, that's a bit weird. So, like I said, I was not trying to be insensitive. That's fine. I can understand that. Just maybe get the with the context of what's going on. Maybe don't. So I thought I heard that in the background. It would make sense that somebody might have to say that in the background while defending themselves. Maybe, possibly. So I've got a few bits of information on this to go over. On the 12th of August, Israeli settlers believed to be from a newly established Israeli outpost settlement near Khalet and Nahah physically assaulted and injured two 15-year-old Palestinian boys near Artis, Bethlehem. The boys were herding sheep around Artis village when they were attacked by a group of Israeli settlers armed with knives, which the settlers put to their necks and forced them into a nearby settler outpost. The settlers then assaulted the boys, broke their legs, urinated on them, and afterwards the settlers handcuffed the boys, put them in a vehicle, and threw them in an open area near Artas, where one of the locals noticed them lying on the ground and called for an ambulance. They were then taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Jesus! Fuck! Huh? How is that considered humane? How is any of that considered even mildly humane? So this is all happening in the village of Jeet right now. The stuff that I showed previously. I don't have words for this. I don't have words for this. I don't know how you can support Israel right now when this is the type of shit that they're doing, not just to Palestinians in Gaza, but also to people just on the West Bank. I don't know how this is considered something where you could just be like, well, like, they're doing what they have to. Like, no. This, like, it's not just doing what you have to. Like, this is just death and destruction.
يا شباب يا شباب اللي فينا اخوي يطلع البياضات يا شباب انحرقت الدور والسيارات اللي فينا اخوي يطلع البلد.
And thus humanity continues to disappoint me. Yup, it's just fucking scary. Apparently, also a 22-year-old Palestinian was burned alive in their car. That one is according to Globe News. Complete chaos in West Bank's city of Jit as dozens of masked Israelis stormed the area with batons, rocks, and Molotov cocktails. So, let's see what we can find out about this. Israeli settlers fired bullets and tear gas at residents of the Palestinian town of Jit in the West Bank before setting fires to homes and cars in an attack, killing one Palestinian. A statement from the office of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the attack. So even Netanyahu is like, no, I can't let that happen. That one is the bad kind of the genocide that I've been enabling this entire time. I wonder if Bibi realizes that the rhetoric that he's been using in regards to Palestine, the way that he's been talking about what Israel should be doing, is the thing that directly leads to this. It's a lot like Donald Trump with January 6th, where after 3 hours, he finally condemns the actions of everybody who's going completely nutso ballistic on January 6th, but like, it happens as a direct result of everything that he's been doing and saying. Like, I just have to wonder how much of that is genuine versus how much of that is just like, oh no, I condemn the shooting of the person over there. Who would have possibly done such a thing? That's so bad. Jesus fucking Christ. What more information can we find here? Because CNN had a very, very tiny bit of info. What do we have here from the Associated Press? West Bank, Jit Israeli leaders on Friday roundly condemned a deadly settler rampage in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, a rare Israeli denunciation of the settler violence growing more and more common since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. The settler riot in the village of Jit near the city of Nablus in the northern West Bank killed one Palestinian and badly injured others late Thursday. Palestinian health officials said that residents interviewed by the Associated Press said that at least 100 masked settlers entered the village, shot live ammunition at Palestinians, burned homes and cars, and damaged water tankers. Video showed flames engulfing the small village, which residents said was left to defend itself without military help for 2 hours. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he took the riots seriously and that Israelis who carried out criminal acts would be prosecuted. He issued what appeared to be a call for settlers to stand down. He said, those who fight terrorism are the IDF and the security forces and no one else, he said, using an acronym for the Israeli military. So wait, so his problem wasn't... Hold on. Let me get this straight. His problem wasn't that they attacked the people there. His problem wasn't the continued genocide of Palestinians. The problem that he had was that it wasn't his own people that he paid to do it doing it? Wait, his problem was that it's only the IDF that's allowed to do this, not random people. What? I don't understand. That's... I don't understand what I'm supposed to get from that. It just sounds like his problem isn't that innocent civilians died. His problem is that he wasn't the one to push the button on it. Okay, BB, all right. President Isaac Herzog also condemned the attack, as did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who said the settlers had attacked innocent people. He added they did not represent the values of settler communities. The Palestinians seek the West Bank, which Israel captured in the 1970 Mideast War, as the heartland of a future state, a position with wide international backing. Rights groups say that arrests for settler violence are rare and prosecutions are even rarer. Israelis' left-leaning Haaretz newspaper reported in 2022 that based on statistics from the Israeli police, charges were pressed in only 3.8% of cases of settler violence, with most cases being open and closed without any action being taken. Oh, okay, cool. So Bibi's just going to go, we are going to prosecute them to the full extent of the law. Legal precedent says they're going to be okay? Fuck it, we tried. Oh, farkin' God. It was unclear why the Jeet attack yielded such a strong rebuke from Israeli leaders. A similar settler riot in the village of Al-Magir in April went without comparable mention from the authorities. The Jeet attack comes as Israel is under heightened international scrutiny over its ceasefire talks with American, Qatari, and Egyptian mediators in Doha. Yet another attempt to broker an end to the 10-month-old war. It's weird to call it a 10-month-old war because technically this back and forth's been going on for decades, but okay. The French foreign minister and the British foreign secretary were also in Israel Friday for meetings with diplomatic officials, and both condemned the attack. The EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, said that he would propose EU sanctions against violent settler enablers, including some Israeli government members. The U.S. has broadly condemned settler violence and the expansion of Israelis' West Bank settlements. The U.S. ambassador Jack Lew wrote on the social media platform Twitter on Friday that he was appalled by the attack, and the White House National Security Council called the violent settler attacks unacceptable. There's a quote then saying that Israeli authorities must take measures to protect all communities from harm. This includes intervening to stop such violence and holding all perpetrators of such violence to account. Other Israeli officials distinguished between the settler attack on Jeet and the larger Israeli settlement project, which the international community views as illegal under international law. Ah, yes. We must distinguish between this very illegal thing that necessarily will require displacing people from their homes and harming them by this thing that displaced people from their homes and harmed them. We must separate these two things in our mind because one is officially sanctioned by us and condemned by everybody else.
4 months already.
Whiskey RPG, thank you for resubscribing. One is officially sanctioned by us, and the other is not officially sanctioned by us, and that is the difference. That pisses me off. That pisses me off to no end. Because the problem with state-sponsored violence is not that it is just the state doing it. The problem is that it is the violence. The problem is the violence. The problem is state-sponsored violence should not be allowed, period, in the majority of the situations. There are some situations where it is absolutely necessary. There's a serial killer who's causing a lot of harm, and the only way to stop them is by getting a police force to go and get that person, apprehend them. That is a form of state-sponsored violence that is necessary. But when Israel is sitting there going, they're doing the things that we want to do, they're harming the people we want to harm, but they're not signing the proper paperwork. No. Clueless Expert says more like one is officially sanctioned, but the other is officially condemned, but completely ignored. And that may be the case. That may be the case. It looks like the situation has been historically to kind of ignore these situations while publicly condemning them, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. It looks like that is the likelihood, but ay, oy, oy. Far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, an ultra-nationalist settler who has turbocharged settlement expansion, rallied against U.S. sanctions on violent settlers and previously defended violent settlers as heroes, labeled the rioters criminals who are in no way related to the settlement and the settlers. So hold on. So he'll defend violent settlers, but the minute that people talk about it, the minute that it becomes a conversation in the public eye, suddenly it's, oh no, we've got to back off from that one. We got to do that officially. Wink, wink. Ultra-Orthodox Israeli Interior Minister Moshe Arbel called on Israeli Shin Bet International Security Agency to investigate those involved and said the riot ran against Jewish value and harmed the settlement enterprise. Since the Israel-Hamas war began on October 7th, violence has flared in the occupied territory. Palestinian health officials say 633 Palestinians, including 147 children and teenagers, have been killed by Israeli fire, and over 5,400 have been injured. Many have been killed during Israeli military raids into Palestinian cities and towns, but settlers have killed at least 11 Palestinians, including 2 children, and injured 234 people, according to AIDA, a coalition of non-profit and other groups working in the territory. 633 Palestinians killed, 5,400 injured. Fucking hell. The U.S. documented over 1,000 settler attacks in the West Bank area since the start of the war, averaging 4 a day. That, again, can you imagine if that was your reality? You woke up in the morning and you recognize that, oh, there's just a chance that I'm going to be attacked today because there have been 4 happening a day. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the type of mentality that breeds? So, I'm not going to just leave you on, can you imagine that? Can you think of it? I want you to consider for a minute what happens when you have a group of people who have children in this area, and those children grow up, and their reality has been one where Israel has attacked not once, not twice, but 4 times a day across various areas where you live in a notably small region. So the likelihood is that you've experienced direct violence not once or twice, but probably multiple times. If you are a child growing up in that reality, what happens when you become an adult? Do you talk of peace, or do you want revenge? Most people, we'd like to think we're better than this, but most people are going to go for the revenge route. Most people are going to go, this is what you've done to me, this is what you've done to my family, this is what you've done for generations, so now I'm doing it to you. And it perpetuates a cycle of violence. I want to know how you actually stop this. How do you stop that kind of violence from happening that's been going on for decades? Because most people, completely understandably, are only going to be locked into that violent cycle because that's what they know. That's the world they've grown up in. They grow up in a world where they don't have the luxury of choosing peace. They wake up having to figure out, oh, how do I defend myself today? How am I going to eat today? How am I going to scrounge together enough to survive today? My dad died today. He was 31. How am I supposed to survive out in this world? That's the world you grow up in. So the people that end up helping you survive are other survivors who've been learning how to fight. So then you learn how to fight. So then after learning how to fight, the only thing you know is that there's a group of people who are your enemy who have been harming you and your loved ones. So you'll do anything in your power to stop them. And that's almost always going to include harming them back in a very great way. Sombrina says, in simple, you don't. This is a 9,000-year-old civil war. It's so endemic now, only the destruction of the land will end this. I don't think that would even end it. It's the type of thing that takes a multi-generational shift, right? You need to have established peace in an area for 3 generations for that bad blood to die away. And even then, it won't necessarily all die away. Look at America. There are still people who think the South will rise again here because they're pissed off about losing slaves or some shit. Like, those ideologies have a very hard time dying. Also, can I make it just a bit weirder for everyone? There's more stuff going on in the West Bank than just what happened in Jeep. That's one terrible thing. But, so this came out recently. A recent United Nations human rights report titled Israel's Lethal Disposal of Nuclear Waste was published on February 15th, 2024. Israel, see here. It has been widely reported that Israel's Dimona nuclear reactor may be responsible for the increase in illness and stillbirths in nearby Palestinian populations. Israel's Dimona nuclear reactor is alarmingly one of the few nuclear facilities in the world not subject to international safety inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Israel is one of the 4 nations to have not signed the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, which is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapons technology, to promote cooperation in the peaceful use of nuclear energy, and to further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament and complete disarmament. This includes safety inspections by the IAEA. See previous post. Israel has not signed NPT. Israel buries its nuclear waste in the Hebron Hills. In 1989, witnesses see trucks burying the whole, trucks being buried whole, and then cancer increasing amongst the residents. In 2014, witnesses see the Israeli army burying barrels in a cave in the Ban-Nami Desert, located in the West Bank, sealed with concrete. Army continues to restrict access there. According to accounts of the villagers, the government. In the governorate, Israel buries its nuclear waste close to Palestinian towns or in areas along the Green Line, which Israel plans to withdraw from.
Sneaking in this resub UWU.
Thank you very much for the resubscription, Senna. Israel buries its nuclear waste close to Palestinian towns in areas along the Green Line, which Israel plans to withdraw from in return for other areas if a resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict were to take hold in the future. Villagers from Beit al-Rush told Sada that in 1989 they saw trucks going into the mountains followed by a cement mixing truck. The trucks would be buried whole, they said. After this time, residents noticed an increase in cancers. Furthermore, a number of residents in the Bani area of the governorate in Hebron stated from eyewitness testimony that over 10 years ago, the Israeli army buried barrels in a cave in the Bani Nam Desert, after which the cave was sealed with reinforced concrete. Access to the area is still restricted by the Israeli army. The residents believe the area contains dangerous nuclear waste buried in their land. Israel prevents Palestinian environmental inspectors from visiting areas which residents complain are being used as nuclear dumping grounds by Israel. Additionally, Israel does not allow for the import of equipment that could be used to measure radiation, as it prevents international and UN experts in the field from entering the Palestinian territories. So, Israel's not only dumping nuclear waste in Palestinian areas, making it more likely that people will just grow up sick or dying or infirm, but also they are doing everything in their power, allegedly, to prevent those areas from being properly documented. Prevent people from actually seeing what the levels of nuclear radiation are in those areas. That's a bit fucked up. That's incredibly fucked up. So that's horrific. They aren't even disposing of nuclear waste correctly, methinks. So I'm no expert on nuclear waste disposal. I'm not. So I don't know what the correct way to do this is compared to what's being done. But I can tell you that burying nuclear waste right near residential areas is Family Guy levels of stupid. Like, there are actual episodes of American sitcoms dedicated to the absurdity of that idea. And yet, they are doing that. So, that is where I will leave y'all off on. Not only do we have a group of people who are being systemically oppressed, not only do we have a group of people who are having their homes burned, attacked 4 times a day, whose generations are growing up knowing nothing but conflict, but also they're being nuclear poisoned, apparently. You know, that's just grand. Let me know what y'all think in the comments section below. I can't do much more on this. I'm getting sick. Insert end video tagline here. Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Briskreek, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Mark Anthony, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.